What if I told you some of the biggest artists in the world, multi-platinum, sold-out tours, millions of fans, were actually broke? That the same industry that made stars like Michael Jackson, Prince, and Taylor Swift also built a system where artists could make millions and still not own their own music, because behind every hit song, every viral moment, every sold-out tour, there's a machine, a system designed to make money from the artist, the fans, and even the culture itself. Welcome back to Behind the Money, where we break down how the biggest systems in the world really make their money. And today, we're exposing the business behind record labels. Because, right now, artists like Drake are still dominating the charts, dropping album after album, breaking streaming records, and artists like Kendrick Lamar are winning Grammys, shaping culture, and moving millions without chasing every trend. But here's the real question. Do they actually own what they're creating? Or are they just the most successful players inside a system they don't fully control? Let's break it down. Back in the day, record labels didn't just make money. They controlled everything. We're talking about giants like Universal Music Group, Sony Music, and Warner Music Group, and their strategy was simple. Own the artist, and own the music. The biggest moneymaker? Album sales. In the late 90s and early 2000s, CD sales were exploding. One hit album could sell 5, 10, even 20 million copies worldwide, at around $15 to $20 per CD. That's hundreds of millions of dollars generated from a single project. But the artist was usually locked into a deal, getting maybe 10 to 20%. And that's before expenses. So, if an album made $100 million, the artist might only see a fraction of that, and sometimes nothing at all, because of something called recoupment. Let's say a label spends $2 million on you. Recording, marketing, videos, promotion. You don't get paid until that $2 million is paid back. And guess what? That money comes out of your share, not theirs, yours. Meaning, you could be famous, on the radio, on TV, touring the world, and still technically be in debt to the people profiting off you. And it didn't stop there. Labels started taking cuts from touring, merchandise, brand deals. This became known as the 360 deal. They didn't just want your music, they wanted your entire ecosystem. And then there's publishing. Every time your song plays on the radio, in a movie, on YouTube, or even in a store, money is generated, and, in many cases, the label owns a large portion of that too. Now here's where things get even darker. Some contracts locked artists in for 5, 6, even 7 albums. Not years, albums. Which means if your label delays your releases, you could be stuck for over a decade. Controlled, limited, and unable to move freely. And this wasn't just happening to unknown artists trying to make it. This was happening to the biggest names in the world. TLC, one of the best-selling girl groups of all time, filed for bankruptcy while their album was certified platinum. Platinum, millions of records sold, and they were broke. Then there was the legendary case of Toni Braxton, sold tens of millions of albums worldwide, and declared bankruptcy twice. Not because the music wasn't making money, it was, just not for her. Even legends had to fight back. Prince changed his name to a symbol, just to escape his deal. Wrote the word slave on his face in protest. Taylor Swift had to re-record her entire catalog just to regain ownership. And in hip-hop, R&B, pop, and even country music, Young artists were often signing deals without fully understanding the long-term impact, because when you're offered money, fame, and a way out, it's hard to say no. Then everything changed. The internet hit, Napster, LimeWire, file sharing. People stopped buying music, CD sales collapsed, the industry lost billions. Some estimates say the global music industry dropped from over $20 billion a year to nearly half that within a decade. The old system was dying. Labels had two choices: adapt or disappear. And that's when streaming changed everything. Platforms like Spotify and Apple Music didn't just save the industry, they reshaped it. Today, the global music industry is back over $25 billion annually. But the way that money is made is completely different. Instead of selling albums, labels now monetize attention. Every stream generates revenue, but it's small. Around 0.003 to $0.005 per stream. So to make $1 million, you might need over 250 million streams. Now think about that. Hundreds of millions of listens, just to reach numbers that used to come from a few million physical sales. Now let's talk about Drake. One of the most streamed artists in the world. He has broken records across multiple platforms. And every time he drops a card, it becomes a global event. Billions of streams, massive attention. But here's what most people don't realize. Those streams don't just make Drake money. They generate huge revenue for labels, streaming platforms, and partners behind the scenes, because every stream is split between the platform, the label, the publishers, and then finally, the artist. And in most deals, the artist is last in line. Now compare that to Kendrick Lamar. Less frequent releases, more intentional drops, more control over the message, different strategy, but still part of the same system. And right now, with Drake getting ready to drop another project, the industry is about to activate. Playlists will be updated. Algorithms will shift. Marketing campaigns will go into overdrive. And attention will be redirected. Because a major release like that isn't just music. It's a business event. A coordinated strategy designed to generate streaming revenue, tour demand, brand partnerships, and cultural dominance. And Drake has become one of the most consistent revenue engines the industry has ever seen. Now here's something most people overlook. Catalogs, old music, songs from 10, 20, even 50 years ago, still making money every single day through streaming, licensing, movies, commercials. That's why companies are spending hundreds of millions, even billions, buying music catalogs. Bruce Springsteen sold his for $500 million. Bob Dylan, $300 million. Even Eminem's catalog was acquired in a deal worth hundreds of millions. Because owning the music means owning the money forever. And Wall Street figured this out. Hedge funds, private equity firms, investment groups, people who have never made a single song in their lives, now own the rights to some of the most iconic music ever recorded. Think about that. A boardroom of investors collecting checks every time you press play. And this is where the industry is heading next. Ownership, control, data, and technology. Because now, artists don't just compete for sales, they compete for attention. On TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, a 15-second clip can turn into a global hit. And labels are watching all of it, tracking data, studying behavior, predicting trends before they happen. Some labels are already using AI to analyze which melodies perform best, which tempos go viral, Which lyrics generate the most emotional response? They're not just signing artists anymore. They're engineering them. In the future, we may even see AI-generated artists, virtual performers, and fully controlled digital brands owned entirely by companies. No contracts to fight, no royalties to split, just pure control. And that raises a bigger question. Is the artist becoming less important than the system itself? But here's the flip side. For the first time in history, artists have options. Chance. The rapper proved you don't need a label to win a Grammy. Russ built a multi-million-dollar career independently and was vocal about it. Artists like Ice Spice, NLE, Choppa, and Gunna renegotiated their deals after seeing what was possible, because knowledge is leverage. And once artists started understanding the business had to start respecting the artists, because the system keeps evolving. From vinyl to CDs to downloads to streaming and now to data, algorithms, and artificial intelligence. But one thing hasn't changed. The goal: control the music, control the money. So, next time you hear your favorite song, ask yourself, who really owns this? Who's getting paid? And who's just the face of it? Because behind the music, behind the fame, behind the lifestyle, there's always a system. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. So let me ask you this. If a label offered you $1 million today, but you don't own your music, are you taking that deal, or are you betting on yourself in a system designed to control you? Drop your answer in the comments. And if this video opened your eyes, share it with someone who needs to see it, because this is the type of information they don't teach in school. But it's the type that changes how you move in the world. Like the video if you're starting to see the game differently. Subscribe if you want to keep going deeper. And I'll see you in the next one. Welcome to Behind the Money.